back there, babe. Thank you. You guys hear me? This is pathetic. Ahoy, you crypto pussies. Welcome to your, thank you, hon, for the coffee. I'm going to need it. Appreciate it. Welcome to your discourse episode of gynecological help. My goodness. I haven't seen more sore vag ever. Not since the 2007 AVN Porn Awards have I seen this much sore vag. You guys are pathetic. I can't believe my eyes. I can't believe some of you even call yourselves Hexicans after some of the shit I've been seeing out there on the Twitter space. What in the hell is going on? Have you guys lost your absolute fucking minds? Look, it's time to put on your big girl pants and Vagisil up, guys, and get yourself squared away. It's a dip. That's all it is. It is a dip. If you're not buying it and you're sitting there staring at it like it did something to you, you did something wrong. You did something wrong. And I think some of the little rec plebs out there right now went ahead and overextended themselves and didn't listen to the things that they were being taught. We taught you guys that you're supposed to only put what you can afford to lose into crypto. We taught you guys that this is a gamble. We taught you guys that there were 80% dips in this thing. We taught you guys to zoom out and look at the big chart. Did everybody forget their training? Did everybody forget what we've been talking about for the last 2 fucking years here? Did we? I think we better go back. Like I said, Vagisil up, guys, and go back and rethink what the fuck you just done. Because what I'm seeing out there is pathetic. The backbiting and all the shit that I'm seeing is fucking pathetic. So knock your shit off, act like Hexicans, and realize that dips are in the game. And this is a buying opportunity. And that's exactly what you should be doing. If you can. If you can. Don't go spending your fucking rent money and mortgaging your goddamn houses and selling shit. I mean, borrowing money from people. What the fuck? Richard put a chart out. If you're having problems right now, if you're still having problems, and this dip is just absolutely too much for you to bear, go over to Richard's Twitter, scroll down, you'll see a chart. You'll see a dip chart. It shows all the past dips and what happened after those dips. And for those of you, even my friends who are calling me and asking me, oh, how do I get out? How can I get out before I lose it all? Oh, what am I going to do? Just shut the fuck up and relax. Guys, Hex has always been a long-term play. If you're looking at the short-term chart right now, you're a damn fool. If you're not looking at it to see what your buying opportunity is, then you're a goddamn fool. If this is hurting your feelings, this dip, then you either overextended yourself or you're a goddamn fool. Hex is a long game. Hex is for staking. Hex is for investors. Hex is not day trading. In fact, crypto shouldn't be day trading. Fortunately, that's all it is. But anyway. And no, I'm actually not an OBGYN. I'm a crypto OBGYN. I'm a crypto pirate OBGYN today. Only because I've got so much pussy that I have to deal with right now. And that's what's going on here. I'm just utterly ashamed of most of the Hexicans. Anyway, but all that being said, let's see if we can backtrack, everybody, and start talking some sense into you all again about what's going on, what we're looking at, what kind of an awesome opportunity this is right now. Hex hasn't changed. Hasn't changed, guys. It's still the same old Hex that was pumping to 50 something cents. Still the same hex, guys. Still the same stuff. Still the shit you were all excited about, and everybody was pumping their chest out and thumping the freaking YouTubers and Twitter sphere out there in the head, going, my hex is great. It's still the same stuff, guys. Just some people decided they were going to sell some of it, and that's okay, because that's what it's for. And for those of you concerned about those people, get your fucking noses out of everybody else's business and quit looking at their bags. It's pathetic that you're even doing that. You know, crypto was supposed to be for people who wanted to get rid of middlemen, people that wanted to change finance. And now we've got people out there day trading, gambling, looking at other people's accounts and what they're buying and how much they're selling. It's just pathetic. It's the most uncrypto thing I've ever seen out there. It is just, it's pathetic. It really is. You need to really rethink your life. Most of you fucking hexicans, so-called hexicans out there. I am appalled. I am appalled. So redeem yourselves. Not that it matters much coming from the captain. I mean, who am I? I'm nothing. I'm just some fucking old guy that jumps on the YouTube every once in a while and eats shit and barks at the moon. But what do I know? So anyway, I know that when all it comes out in the wash, I'm going to be just fine. I'm going to be just doing just dandy. And I will have taken advantage of this opportunity called Hex in the proper way. And some of you may not be able to say that or may have not done that. So anyway, get your head out of your ass. I'm waiting to hear and that will be all of your heads coming out of your fucking asses. All right. Enough of the rant from the captain. Man, I love my coffee machine. So my Hex Flex was a coffee machine, some rain gutters for my house, and an ice maker. That's my Hex Flex. And I love my ice maker. I got that real crunchy ice, the kind you get every once in a while. You'll go to a fast food place and they got that real crunchy ice. I got an ice maker. So I have that stuff in my house all the time. That's like, what an awesome thing to have. It beats a Lambo to me anyway. So I got the ice. And then I got this coffee machine that like makes the most amazing coffee on the planet. I just had to have a good coffee machine. So now I have like $5 Starbucks coffee, $6, $10, whatever the hell they are, on call right here, just in my own little cup. When I wake up in the morning, when I want it at night, whatever, I got a good cup of coffee. So I got that. And then the one thing I've always wanted to do since I've owned my house for like 18 years. And one thing I've always wanted to do, but I never did. So when I got the place, I bought it new. When I got the place built, I had these holes made in the gutters, and they put pipes next to my house so that I could run rain gutters down to them. Well, it doesn't rain that often in Southern California, so never got around to it. He wanted like a little bit of money for it. And it was just like, it wasn't in the cards for me. So, but every time it did rain, I'd walk out my house and I had this like fucking waterfall coming down over my front door that would hit me in the head and I'd have to run through it. And I ran through that shit for 18 years. And you know what? I finally got rain gutters, and now it rained once since I got them. I can walk out my front door and not get splashed on. I had a great cup of coffee, and I know that when I get home, I'm going to have some nice crushed ice in my freaking drink when I sit down for dinner. So anyway, that's my Hex Flex. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. But anyway, without further ado, I want to bring up our guest. I ran across this gentleman on the internet. There's so many Hex related content now out on YouTube, which I'm so proud of. I'm so happy that it's out there because, I was one of the biggest advocates for everybody starting their own channels. And I just knew, and, one of my mantras or tenets or whatever you want to call it was, there will be better streamers than me, and there will be better streamers than all of us. that will come out, and that didn't take long. I mean, like the first 2 streamers that started after I did were better, so it was really short lived. That I think other than Hexo was always better than anybody out there, and then of course Motley and Coffee and DC, all those guys were better anyway. But I mean, I knew that we'd have better streamers, and now I'm seeing the quality. I'm seeing the quality of streamers out there with Gerardo and Jenkins and this next gentleman here. He goes by the name of Crypto Heartbeat. That name always confuses me. I don't know why. I have a hard time remembering it and saying it. But anyway, he's got a stream. He's like a voice of reason in crypto, and I really enjoy that because we don't have enough of it. We either have super hypey stuff, super charty stuff, or just a bunch of bullshit out there. And this guy doesn't bring that. So I'm going to bring him up without any further ado. My new friend, Crypto Heartbeat. What's happening, my brother? How you doing?
What's up, Captain? This is Hex Royalty, man. It's my pleasure to be here with you, man. I've been a fan for a long time. I've been one of those lurkers who's been secretly watching your streams.
Oh, right on, man. Yeah. I appreciate that. And royalty, okay, I'll accept that. But we just stuck around from the beginning and just kept going. That's all. We were just tenacious, and that's all we are, is to have tenacity. But then keep supporting guys like you, because we said there's going to be better streamers, and here they are. So thanks for doing what you do, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's everybody's got a point of view, and that's the thing I love about this community. I mean, I got into it 35 days ago.
Really?
And it's just unbelievable to me.
Now, you got into Hex or into the community itself?
No, into the community. So I'll tell you my story. So it was a long time ago. It was before the big payday, and I couldn't sleep at night, and I was up probably 2 a.m. and I had cable TV on, and there was this ad, a very bad web ad that came on, and it said, "Would you like to be a billionaire?" And I thought it was a multi-level marketing scheme. And so, of course, interested in schemes, I typed up on my phone, and it was Hex. And I started digging in. Yeah. And so literally someone paid for a real cheap ad in the middle of the night on some cable TV. And I think it was one of those web ads that we've seen that somebody made. It was an animated deal. And I was just curious about what it was. And I started digging in and found out it was crypto. And I had been involved in crypto stuff. My brothers are old OG. My oldest brother was an early Apple developer out in Southern California, and he, Northern California actually, but he was with Apple. My other brother was with Microsoft, and so I was the little kid tagging along, when they were programming. And so, it was just before big payday, and I was interested in what was going on. I started watching Hexo. That's what honestly got me into it, was Hexo.
He's got a lot of people, man.
Yeah, he is.
And he's just so easy to watch. I mean, he's brilliant. He's kind. He's funny. He's just got it all. He's got it all. I mean,
yeah, he can really take that microphone down pretty deep too. He said there were crumbs, but we'll see.
He's a crumb slut. What can you say?
I just love that he's back. It literally, it's what's actually cool about this dip is, it's like, he comes back to save us all. It's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. I had a conversation with him. So he's been, he's been planning on coming back, and he's been getting ready to make his debut and whatnot. And then it's like Hex all of a sudden starts dipping. And he's like, oh man, I got to come on stream right when it's like, just like the old days, right? Yep. Because he and I, whenever it dipped, streaming was fun. When we were having pumps, it was fun, especially in the early days. There was a handful of us, and it was pumping, and it was fun. And then, all of a sudden we'd get a dip, and like the streams would disappear. Like everybody, the supporters would disappear. We'd lose support. We'd lose people's attention. The FUD would start. The chat rooms were getting quiet, and FUD was flowing around, and butthurt and all that stuff. And it was a chore, man. It was really a chore to stream. So we'd be getting up there like, okay, we're going sideways again for another week. Now, what do we talk about? And it was just about trying to have fun and trying to make, some type of sense of what was going on and talk about the future and talk about the past. And it was, it was a difficult time, but, here we are again.
Yep.
And we've got a lot of streamers though backing us up. I mean, like I turn on YouTube and I'll find somebody like you, all over the place. Well, not exactly like you, because you've got a little bit different of content, little different content coming out. But yeah, man, it's here we are again at the dip, but we got Hexo back, so it's good.
Yeah, it is good. It is really good. Well, I'm just one of the things I think people underestimate is the power of the community, and really this is a lot of identity for folks and connection, and especially with COVID. I mean, being able to tune in to RG3 and to hear you rant with your guns up, I mean, it's a taste of home, and I really think that a lot of people underestimate how important that is for people and just connecting with the community. And I'll be honest with you, this has been a whirlwind for me the last 35 days. And I will tell you, the most positive people I think I've ever met. And so I'm just so thankful, because I was a little bit reluctant to get into streaming and really making videos in general. And I'll be honest with you, there hasn't been that much hate. And I'm really surprised, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah. So let me back up on that. So you said, 35 days ago, what made you make a decision? What is it about you that just made you decide that you were going to stream? What was the necessity you saw? What hole did you fill? I mean, I can explain it how I see it, but what was your reasoning for it?
All right. I'm going to give you the honest answer first, and then I'm going to give you the spin answer. The honest answer is I sacrificed a lot for Pulse Chain. And I knew that the rising tide lifts all boats. And I thought, I don't see anyone like me who is approaching this from more of a philosophical approach. I spent 20 years building businesses in the nonprofit space, and sold my business and got into crypto and just found Hex and was into that. And then when I heard about Pulse Chain, I'm like, this is my opportunity. And I thought, you know what, if I'm going to be out there, I want to make videos. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. It was very difficult for me to show Richard's content to any of my friends. And that's just honest. And so, I wanted to make content that I could send to my parents. I could send to, my buddies. And I wanted to bring a level of, professionalism to, because, the opportunities that we're facing, I think a lot of people don't realize it because they're kind of in a bit of a bubble with Hex. And this Pulse Chain thing is, to me, right place, right time. And what we're going through in the world, it's unbelievable. And what I'm trying to help people understand is how significant this is. And it's so cool that, OG Hexicans have been able to make it this far. And I mean, it's amazing. 10,000x. I mean, it's great. But there's something happening. And I think we're going to see something amazing happen over the next 10 years. And so I want to be a part of that, Yeah. And so the honest answer is I wanted to pump my own bags, right? But what has it turned into is my heart for really the change and dynamic with the financial system. To me, it's literally transformative for regular people, and that's what I want to represent.
Which is
regular.
You're in it for the tech.
Well, yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that. Yeah. I'm not really in it for the tech either. What's interesting about this is, being in the nonprofit space, we deal with folks who are, I hate to say it crassly, but begging for money. And there's this impression that you have that, you can't spend any money, right? You have to be really, really frugal. And the term nonprofit, I think, is confusing to a lot of people. And the problem is, have you ever been in a business where you didn't invest in it? No, you haven't. And so there's almost this attitude in the nonprofit space that you can't invest. And there's so many people hurting in this world. And if we had folks who are willing to invest in the things that make a difference and impact in the world, we really could make a big difference. And when I see the kind of gains that we're talking about, regular people are going to be in a unique position. And that's something that I want to help lead in is, I don't want to rely on Elon Musk to solve our problems. Let's solve them
Or
ourselves.
RG3 to pump your bags, because basically what the Children of the Grave is saying here is that basically RG3 was tired of all of us hooligans, and he wanted somebody with a shirt and tie and a jacket on.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And what's funny is, I mean, I come from the side of the tracks. So most of my buddies are, tattooed from the knuckles up, and the guys I've worked with, and that's just where I'm from. And I can't let them watch Richard's streams sometimes, because it's just like, really, this guy really said, is this the financial advisor that you're, listening to? The guy that built the financial product you're saying is so great. He's talking about his cock size and, all this other stuff. And they're like, dude, I turned the thing off. My wife was sitting on the couch and this guy's talking and I got embarrassed. And this is a rough dude, right? And I said, hey man, I'm sorry. He is who he is. He's rough around the edges, but the guy's brilliant, listen to him, and, and so, but yeah, it's the community, we started out with that. But I knew that eventually people like you would come around, and that all we had to do was continue to be open to it, and then embrace it when it did show. And here we are. Hex is growing. It's changing. It's developing. It's maturing, and it's going to get better. And there's going to be more. Like I said, there will be the biggest whales have not gotten into Hex yet.
Nope.
The biggest whales haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, and I will also say I come from southeastern Michigan originally. I live in Central Texas now, and I was raised in Motor City with blue collar family, and you look at anything that's I don't know, the Hex community to me is it's amazing because of the fact that these are folks who are they're not Wall Street bankers. And to me, that's what this revolution is about. And so actually that's what really attracted me to it. And, the other thing too is the turning point for me with Richard, I'm going to watch a lot of stuff. And of course my wife could hear, I'm in bed watching Richard's streams and my wife's over hearing this stuff. And she's like, is that guy from Hex? And I was like, yeah. And I remember watching him. And to me, this is the big turning point. I saw him at one of the meetups. And I mentioned this on one of my videos that I saw, there were some kind of awkward guys in the audience there, and they didn't know how to react to him. And of course, he's a celebrity to them. And this young guy was so nervous, and Richard just went over and welcomed him and like shook everybody's hand. And a guy wanted a selfie, and he's like, hey dude, you're going to get a selfie. Like, I saw a person who was actually pretty charming, and when he let his guard down and wasn't defending all of this FUD and scammer stuff and all that, and it's like, it was so refreshing to see. And then he talked about not swearing on, and to me, I've really grown to appreciate him. And then of course, we do development work, and we've dug into the contract, and what he's doing is absolutely brilliant. And I think that most people don't, they don't see that. And I honestly, I'm defending him now, because at first I was kind of put off, and now I'm like, hold on a second, guys, this is our ticket, man.
Yeah, no, it's actually a ticket for the world, because
totally.
It's going to change finance. I mean, it already has. The fact that it's a mutable code, it's launched, and it's working, it's available, it's moving, it's been out for 2 years, no bugs. It's all perfect. Hex is perfect as it is. It's really the crypto the world was waiting for, and they don't even know it's there yet.
That's right.
They don't even know it's there, but it's there. It's working, and that's what's beautiful to us as Hexicans, is that we know it's there. We know it's working, and we know it's going to continue to. And again, the biggest whales haven't got in yet, because once the money really sees what's going on here, they're going to be jumping all over it like a fat kid on a cupcake. I mean, that's what Hex really is. It is an amazing financial product.
Yep.
And guys like you are going to help spread the message, because, they've had a hard time listening to the old pirate. That's for sure.
Well, it's
only getting worse.
That's right. No, you're absolutely right. It's, That's fantastic. A fat kid on a cupcake, my favorite. No, I think there's a real opportunity, you're right, for folks to see it as a financial instrument. I think because it's so new and innovative and people are like, "Wow, what's staking?" and all that stuff. And of course, people understand certificate of deposit, they understand time deposit and those type of things. But when you start looking at it as a financial instrument, you can go to just about any bank and get a CD. Of course, you can't get
Mhm.
any return on it. But the fact that that staking is happening inside the code is revolutionary. And for
Yeah.
him to look at that, and I was listening back to one of your old streams with one of the devs that worked with him on Hex, and oh my goodness, just hearing how Richard worked with the devs and what he wanted to accomplish. He wanted to make sure that there was a contract that had a tremendous amount of throughput. I mean, when I saw and understood that in context, and it's really interesting. I mean, Richard's made some choices by the way he has, gone through this. Kind of the flexing piece of this and attracting some folks. But I think that, if there's anything I could say to Richard in all this is the work that you're doing with the Sens Foundation, the work you're trying to do with health in the world, this idea of healing the world and helping people live longer, the more I think he can lean into that, the more he's going to really attract some folks who go, hang on a second. Okay, there's something here that's different. I think less Louis Vuitton and more compassion, probably a good idea.
Yeah, and in defense of his Louis, I know what he's doing.
Oh,
He's
I know what
he's
he's doing too.
he's
Yeah.
hitting an audience. He's
Sure.
hitting an
Sure.
audience, and there's a lot of people that see that stuff,
Sure.
and they want to poke around a little more. And
Yeah.
J Money, thanks for the 1999. Everybody, somebody go check out his website and see if it's legit or not, and let me know. I don't know if it's legit or not. I haven't been there, but check it out. We'll get word on it here in a little bit. So one of the things that I was hearing you speak was, you were talking about Dev Kyle and that interview, and a lot of the OGs. So there's a handful. There's about 100 people that are just like, die hard, been here from the beginning, watched every stream everywhere, watched all of Richard's content, and we knew we were the hardcore Hexagon freaking militia, right? And we lived all that stuff. When Dev Kyle first came and talked to
Yeah.
us, and I talked to him in the green room, for like a couple of hours before the stream. We had a meeting, and I was just like blown away. I'm like, this is going to be amazing for people to hear this, and for future people like yourself. I knew that it had to be recorded, had to be out there for people to see this, hear this, understand it, so that the future, when better men come around, they will sit here, and that's what's happened. And you guys got to watch it and absorb it and go, holy crap, look at this. This is the dev that worked with Richard in the beginning.
Yeah.
Look how scrutinized this was. Look how much work they put into it. Look at how much modeling they did. I mean, when you talk to Dev Kyle in depth about the modeling that he did, he looked at this thing every which way, ran so many different models of what it could do. And all the models were pointing up and to the right.
Yeah.
It was just constantly reaffirming itself that they had built the perfect financial model. And when they launched it, they were very, very confident in what Hex was going to do. And then all this time, it's just been validation from people like you, Wales
Yep.
Only, Jenkins, Jerdog. All these guys have just been validating the code. I mean, it's just math and code.
Right.
And that's the beautiful thing about crypto, that I'm surprised that the code wasn't cracked earlier. And you might be able to talk about this too. I don't know how long you've been in crypto, but it's like crypto, when Ethereum came out, you had programmable money.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to take long for somebody to go, guys, we have programmable money. We literally have programmable money. Why don't we do the right thing with this and program it to do something really absolutely fucking amazing? And Richard was like, am I going to be the only guy to do it? Really?
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. Really? And I mean, that's what we have. We have programmable money that has been programmed to just go up in price.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about when that all started, I mean, think back to when Richard had the first idea and when he worked with the devs at the beginning and how long it took. Think about the year before Big Payday, all of that stuff. I mean, this is true innovation. I mean, he's a pioneer. And I think that when I listen to some of those early interviews with folks, which, you know, are classics now, you know, talking about how this is going to be better than Ethereum and better than Bitcoin, and people just going like, you're absolutely crazy.
Blasphemy.
And look what you know, what you see now. I think what's really interesting though is this dynamic of mirroring the traditional financial instruments in the crypto space, and that to me, I mean, it took a lot of effort because if you look at the code, about 2/3 of the code does not get used anymore, and that's all the transform lobby and all that stuff.
Yep.
You know, now we've got a very
Bitcoin.
traditional time deposit, obviously incredible scenario with distributing the penalties out to stakers, but it's now this, you know, it's very straightforward now. And you think about, you know, the future, and that's what I'm really interested in is how this stuff, not just for you individually, but us as a community. And that to me, I think is the thing that people don't understand how powerful this Hexagon community is, especially with the fact that right on the heels of this success, Richard is bringing the pulse chain. To me, that people do have no idea how amazing this is going to be.
So he built the car Hex, and now he's building the road.
Oh yeah,
which is Pulse, and the way Hex is going to change. Nothing in so the currency and the world's monetary system is built on inflation. It's built on inflation. Inflation is the key function of currencies. If a currency inflates too much, we've seen what happens to currencies that inflate too much, or you know, we've watched people rolling around in wheelbarrows full of their country's money and it being worthless and all that kind of stuff. Inflation is important, so very important, and even they've taken liberties with the almighty dollar because it is the almighty dollar, and they've been able to do what they want with it because it's the almighty dollar and everything else is shittier. So they've banked on that, pun intended.
Yep.
And Hex is the most, I mean, of everything that I've seen in the world, of everything, Hex has the most perfect inflation model to date. There isn't anything that inflates like Hex. Hex can literally save the world's finances because of that, because of how it inflates, because of how it comes to the world, because of who it's paid out to, because of how it operates. It has the potential, by time locking, to create a financial system that can be beyond compare. And once the real financial institutions find out about it, either we're all going to be dead or they're going to have an amazing opportunity. So I'm hoping for number 2.
Yeah. And you know, that's the truth. Well, you look at what's happening to, you know, onboarding is one of the big challenges, right? Obviously incredible growth, right? Adoption. This is the fastest adoption of any technology in the history of recorded mankind. And this will be the largest transfer of wealth or wealth creation in the history of recorded mankind. And, you know, you look at something like, you know, one of the concerns I have is, you know, Hex is a financial instrument having staking built in. Now a lot of staking is happening outside of contracts, right? People are doing this on a separate layer. And, you know, I look at, that's what's so brilliant and beautiful about the Hex code. But this idea that you've got the Federal Reserve and you've got banking together in one contract is the thing that's real innovation. And that's the thing I hope to share with folks is, you know, really got to look at this and understand that you're minting your own reward, but that reward is that inflationary money you're talking about. And that 3.69% that gets distributed just to stakers. And the funny thing about it is no one's really talked about it much, is that if you're holding liquid Hex, you're actually being diluted. You just don't realize it because it's so slow. Yeah. And that dilution is minor, right? If you're a trader, and all these people that you addressed at the beginning with your OBGYN, is they don't realize is that locking this stuff up is where the money's at. and it's long term. And so, you use different financial instruments for different purposes. And this one is beautiful because, I mean, it replaces the current financial system, and I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it definitely has the possibility of changing traditional finance for the better. What I've been, what my eyes have been open to. So the first thing that I was, my first aha moment, I guess, was when I realized what shares were, um, and then I realized how the inflation works. So shares and inflation was like the two brilliant things about Hex to me. Was like, okay, that makes Hex different than any other crypto, than any other asset, than any other financial vehicle in the world. And that alone I could stand behind. And then as my bags matured, as stakes matured, as it comes time for me, in the next year or so here to start, realizing some gains, because I haven't realized any gains yet. I talked about my ice maker and my coffee maker and my
You're flexing.
my Hex Flex. That's all stuff that I could have got on my own anyway. But I just decided I'd pull the trigger because I have some wealth in the bag. I'll spend a little money because I know that it's coming back to me in spades. But I'm starting to see how, and I didn't know all these things before, how rich people use the financial system to their benefit. These trusts,
Yep.
and these things these tools that are available to them. Doing work like you, having a charitable foundation and operating that charitable foundation, becoming a philanthropist, and going out and helping a cause that means something to you. Like Richard, the Sentence Organization is his thing. Me, I like focusing on recovery and helping people to get sober and to straighten their lives out. So that's me and my wife are setting up a foundation to do so. And because I'll have money to do things that I wasn't able to do before. And now I'll be able to give back to the community that has given to me. So I see all these tools that I didn't know they existed. I kind of knew they existed, but I never knew that a guy like me could actually utilize them.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing how Hex, which is an innovative and new product in and of itself, married with some of these things, really creates an awesome financial opportunity for everyone.
Yep.
For
Well,
everyone.
and absolutely. And one of the things I'll share, I don't know that a lot of the viewers would relate to this, is there are a lot of tools that are used by philanthropists, if you will, or wealthy individuals that are tools to avoid taxation. And so one of the things people say in my space is, who would you rather give your money to? The government or to an organization you care about? And so there are a handful of really, really good vehicles. And one of those what we see right now is what's called a donor advised fund. And so, in the United States with a 501c3, you can give obviously a tax deductible donation. And because crypto is taxed as an asset, it's much, much, much better to give it before, right? You don't sell it and give the cash. You actually give the crypto, right? Because they don't have a capital gains on it. And so you're giving essentially 40% more of it. The impact that you can have in understanding those rules, and that's the thing that excites me about regular people having an abundance of wealth, is that what are the things that you care about? And that's what I'm all about on my channel. And what I'm doing is to say, listen, this money is either going to go straight to the government in the form of capital gains, or you're going to be able to actually make a big difference, because these kind of gains, even if we look at growth in, if you look at total volume in the crypto space in the last 2 years, 2 years ago, it was 4 trillion, and that's the total volume within the system. It has grown to 60 trillion in 2 years. That's the fastest growth, about 113% growth. They're anticipating it being around 200 trillion in the next 10 years. And if you look at that kind of growth, we're talking about a 100x increase. And this is on the standard, if you look at it as a macro asset class, 100x from here. So we are so early in this process. And that's why, to me, you look at the pulse chain coming along. People like crying about the dip today. You have no idea what's coming and what's being set up. And Richard is so far ahead of us. And I'm just glad that there's someone advocating for us out there.
Yeah. No, to backtrack on the first thing you said was, the amount of work that you can do with your money, with your crypto gains, in something that your heart is set on, versus, you're going to give up part of it no matter what. You're not holding it all. If you are holding it all, you're either going to get yourself into some trouble, or it's not going to sit well on you. Period. So helping others and going out and utilizing it to its greatest potential, which is, instead of handing it to a government that a small portion of it does good and the rest of it goes to, the fat cats that created the laws to make them richer. Your money is better spent. You get more bang for your buck going and directing it to something or some things that you can appreciate, that you want to help in, that make you feel good, that make you put your head on your pillow at night and feel better about. And I don't know, for a lot of people that haven't been involved in philanthropy or giving back in one way, shape, or form, whether it's in sweat equity or in money, there is no better joy. There is no better feeling than that flex. When you've helped a family, when you've helped another human being, when you've donated to something that has done good in the world, there is no better feeling than that. There is no greater joy in life than actually providing help or assistance to those that are in need, and not letting the system provide for them in whatever way, shape, form that they do it. Not to take anything away from them, but I just think that coming from another human being, one human being to another, and getting involved and helping, it just does it. It does it better.
Yeah, well, that's right. And, I look at you and I think we're probably similar age guys. And, I can, I fall into the Gen X, firmly into Gen X. And, if you look at the generation that's following us, I look back at my parents who are hippies, and my grandfather was the greatest generation, born in the Depression. And I look forward to, Gen Y, millennials. And because of technology, because of the changes in how people see the world, the nature of technology, one of the things that's so amazing about crypto is we know that this decentralized nature is all about removing middlemen. And what's amazing about young people today, and you see this with like Mr. Beast on YouTube, and you see this in different places, is that people want to see the impact they're giving as quickly as they possibly can, right? And we think about why drilling water wells in Africa or bed nets or those type of things are so attractive to young people, is because they know, hey, I'm doing something that's very tangible. And because of the nature of the internet and the blockchain, I think what we're going to see in the future here is we're going to see the same revolution that's happened in finance is going to happen a little bit later in the philanthropic world, where a lot of the people who are in the middle, and if you think about this from an aid perspective, international aid perspective, there's a lot of people you have to pay off in order to get your stuff into a country to help people. And there's just a ton of corruption. And one of the things that the blockchain enables, which I think is the absolute amazing vision, is that there are going to be platforms and systems set up where you're going to be able to actually give directly to someone on the ground, and it's going to be through crypto, and you're going to have a transparent receipt of their receiving it. And so the thing that I get so excited about is, remember back in the day when we were a bit younger, when you'd go to the what was that? You remember the Gateway store that had the box with a cow on it?
Yeah, with the cow box.
Right? Yeah.
So it was exciting to go there because it was a computer store.
There was a computer store, Gateway and Compaq, right? And I remember when Dell came out, and Dell was like, you can order your computer online. And people were like, what are you talking about? You can order a computer online. You go buy Dell Direct, right? And that was a new thing at the time. And of course, there's no Gateway stores anymore. Well, now we buy everything on Amazon, and this direct, it's going to be delivered by drone. The same thing that has happened with all internet technologies of basically providing a direct connection to the consumer, in this case, the person in need, is that we're going to see more and more people being able to say, you know what, I've got this need. And so one of the examples I give is, you've got a community of people in a remote village in Africa where the kids in that community have lactose intolerance, right? And you're like, oh, that's I never thought about that, right? That wouldn't be a need. And someone in that community saying, you know what, we need to have a soy press to be able to do soy milk for these kids, and it costs $600. And you go, well, how do you get that as somebody that doesn't have any money or resource? And you think about a guy like the Captain RG3 or myself or somebody in Australia and somebody in, Munich. You say, what if we knew of that need? And what if we cared about people in Africa? And what if we could, you and me and Richard and other people could literally say, you know what, I'll throw in $50. We'll get that soy press for you. And that's the kind of thing that right now is not happening. But I can order anything I want on Amazon, but that person can't. And so this idea that we could literally see the impact that we would have on someone in a remote village in Africa is possible today. And those systems are not there yet, but that's the kind of things we're working on. And to me, there's so much joy in seeing someone's face go, RG3, thank you so much. These kids are not going to have all these gastrointestinal problems anymore.
Yeah. I've experienced that through my work with some I don't want to throw the organizations out there at this point, but there was an organization in Brazil, and I've done a lot of work here in the States, but there was an organization in Brazil that was working on kids in the favelas. And these kids were being, picked up by drug cartels.
Yep.
And they were kids on the streets, and the drug cartels were taking them and putting them to work and turning them into, first class thugs. By the time they were, 12, 13 years old, they were gun wielding, gang banging, dealing, murderous, doing whatever they could to survive because they were picked up by these gangs out there. I met this gentleman who was he still is. He was a missionary out there. He was just gathering these kids, and we helped them build a home for these kids, and we physically went down there and built it, and we supplied money to it, and he just kept picking these kids up off the street, and it felt good. It felt really good, And then the thing that really solidified it for me, it was one thing to be helping and everything was good. And we saw happy kids, and we saw girls coming off the streets and little boys coming off the streets. But there was this story, and it's really, really, really sad, but this solidified it for me and was a reason why I needed to continue doing it and continue helping and being part of these programs was, our friend, wrote us a letter and said, I got this really sad letter. So he had this young man that he was working on. This young man was just brilliant, 11-year-old kid. And he was in the streets, and he was halfway in, halfway out, trying to get into the home, but still working with the gang, still doing his thing. Cause he was living on the streets on his own, 11 years old.
Yeah.
And, the kid was trying to make a decision. He was halfway in, halfway out. And it was very dangerous for him to do that. And, it's a really sad story, but, the young man was finally murdered by the cartels. They tried to make an example of him to get the other kids to not do what they were doing, and they literally put this young man in a stack of tires and lit the tires in the middle of the street.
Oh.
And for me, it was like, that kind of stuff has to stop, and whatever I can do to help stop that kind of stuff, because people don't. It's just a horrendous story. And to be part of it, and to actually see that young man and know that he was trying to get in and trying to change his ways and trying to get out of all that at 11 years old, having to make those kinds of decisions. And then, 11 years old, the kids should be playing with Hot Wheels and video games and having fun with his friends and swimming and those kinds of things. This kid was making life decisions, life and death decisions. And then he was murdered in the most horrendous way that you can imagine. And that's what made me think, I got to help more and get more involved. And so, I've made it my life work to get involved whenever I could.
Are you saying the captain has a big heart?
I always have. I have a heart for people.
Yeah. Well, I can tell.
But I'm still a pirate, because there are some people that need a good swift kick in the ass or a walk on the plank.
That's right. That's
And
right.
and that's what life is really about. You know,
Yeah.
I've always lived under the premise where you need somebody that can put their arm around you
Yep.
and punch you in the gut at the same time,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And you know, it's just kind of a tough love thing, but there is a certain sect of people out there that need that, and that's just where the space that I fit in. You know,
Yep.
I do clean up good, but I don't like I'm not the guy that puts on the suit and tie and goes out and does boardrooms. I have done it, but I'm just not. That's not my element. You know,
Yeah.
it's not what I love. You know, I
Yeah.
love getting
Yeah.
dirty. I love being
Yeah.
in the dirt. I love
Yeah.
crawling in the slime, and I love dealing with the dirty people and the less fortunate and all that kind of stuff. The underdogs. I just love
Yep.
it, man.
Yep.
It's my thing.
Well, what's
Um,
interesting too is that that's the Hex community, and one of the things that I've been doing recently is because I've been so amazed by this community and have been so supported by them is it's and this is something that I would say, when you share that story like that, it's life-giving to people because I think this is so fundamental to who we are. It's like we know that that's not right. And I think a lot of people don't, especially in the Western world, especially in the United States,
yeah,
we've got a perspective of what we think poverty is, but we don't know what it really
you
is.
don't know
And
what it really is.
we don't know what danger really is.
No.
And when you start and you do go overseas or you do go somewhere else where it's a challenge, you go, this isn't right. And that's what's so exciting to me about this new financial world is that we're seeing this change that's going to put people in a position that have the ability to help. Because one of the things I believe really strongly in is that this is the first time in human history where political power and military power is separated from financial power. Because in the past, you would win a war and you would get the plunder,
The
just like the
spoils, yeah.
pirates, right? And you would control the finances and you would choose the rules. And if you look at kind of early America, one of the things that's incredible is George Washington saying, "I'm not running again for president." And I remember if you've seen the musical Hamilton, he's like, "What do you mean you're not running for president?" Like, of course, he goes, "No, we got to teach him how to say goodbye." And this idea of this American experiment was one that said, "No, no, no, we're going to give away power." And no one in human history has said, "You know what? I've got a lot of power. I'd like to give it away." And the beauty of the blockchain, and I think what Satoshi did is such a gift to us because basically what it says is I'm going to restructure the financial system in a way where individual people are going to have an abundance. And out of that abundance, they're going to be able to do things they've never been able to do before. And I think that that's where, people talk about financial freedom. I say, all right, get the watch, get the Lambo, get that stuff out of the way. Go drive fast, go wear some fancy clothes. Now let's talk about, what do we do? And, the cool thing about this is you don't have to become you don't have to be Mother Teresa and,
No.
vow of poverty and all that. But you know what? You can take advantage of some of these tools and these opportunities because I've worked with these small nonprofit organizations and large ones. And, the kinds of money that folks are going to have from this next phase through the pulse chain and all this stuff. I was talking to a guy who sacrificed $250,000 in the sacrifice stage for Pulse. And I said, you realize if that hits $1, you got $2.5 billion. And this guy was literally like, he almost fell out of his chair. And I said, this is not unrealistic. I said, but what do you do? What is the taxes on $2.5 billion? And you think about this, there are organizations that can't handle $1 million if you gave it to them. They wouldn't know what to do with it. It might even destroy them. And the kind of impact, that's one person. Well, we're talking thousands upon thousands of people that are going to be in a different financial situation. And to me, this is our opportunity to band together to make a difference.
Exactly why I picked up on your stream, exactly why I've been doing what I'm doing, because of the financial power that this community is going to have
Yep.
and the heart that this community has. See, like you, I saw something in Richard early on
Yes. Yeah.
where I was like, wait a second,
Yep.
this guy's really got a big heart. This guy really cares about people. This
He
guy
does.
really is doing this for a reason. Now
Yep.
he talks money, but he's marketing. He's marketing.
Yep.
He's flexing. He's marketing.
Well, he
Why is
wrote
he
the
marking?
self-help books, man. I mean, self-help books and the Sense Foundation when he worked there. I mean, his background is way too philanthropic. He can't get away from it.
Yeah, he's philanthropic, and
Yeah.
and this community needs to focus on that. This community needs to go the right direction. And like you said, once the watches, the fast cars you only burn a couple of sets of tires on them before it gets boring.
Then you
the
want another
watch
one.
only looks good, when you got 6 of them sitting in the winders, and it's like, I'll wear this one today. It's just another watch. A $10,000 watch is just as nice as a $250,000 watch. I mean, it doesn't. All that stuff doesn't matter. How many houses can you have? How many cars can you have? There's only so much stuff that you can buy. It's just stuff, And if Hexicans do it right, not only will they have the stuff that they need and desire, but they will be able to fill their lives up with philanthropic adventures and go out and help people that they may not have even known needed to be helped. Find new things. I mean, the trips to Brazil and all of the things that were going on out there, just like you said, I mean, I've been in third world countries when I was in the Marine Corps, but I've never been in a third world country where I was put in a situation where, look at what this young child is dealing with on a daily basis. Look at what this little girl has to go through at 10, 11, 12 years old. Look at what this little boy is doing at that same age. Look at this 9-year-old girl taking care of her 3-year-old sister, and they don't have parents.
Right.
Stuff like that. I never really got involved in that, even though I may have walked it down the street drunk as a Marine and saw these people. I never really actually went there to go visit them and help them in some way. And to see that and be part of it is just, it's life-changing. It's really life-changing. And it changes who you are and how you view the world and how you view the things that you do on a day-to-day basis, and like what really matters in life. Does all this stupid little bullshit that goes on Twitter really matter? No, it doesn't, when you've seen shit like that,
You're absolutely right. And I think a challenge that Western folks have is they'll go into those situations and think, well, it's money that's going to solve this. One of the things I've been impressed with is we have this impression that people across the world are not as smart as we are. And what you find is that actually some of the most resourceful people have the least. And that's why I look at things like micro lending. I look at things like helping people with business. This idea of teaching someone to fish. There are some of the greatest things as far as business opportunities. And to me, when you think about investing, you're like, wow, we're going to make. I'm really involved in what's called impact investing. And you see this happening right now when it comes to environmental things. It's called ECGs, where they're basically trying to tie investments to a certain level of measurable kind of, environmental impact. Well, the same thing is happening when it comes to a younger generation taking over these big trusts and these big, funds, is to say, what does it look like to say, we're going to make a profit, but we're not going to destroy the population in the process? And that, to me, is probably one of the most encouraging things, is that the younger generation is really looking at ways in which we say, all right, profits are good. These are, businesses are good. It's important to help people be resourceful and to make a profit and to make their lives better. But we're not just here to extract the value and leave. And I think that that's where technology has provided this humanity. We've been able to look inside of the humanity of people. And I think that's one of the things that's part of this revolution, is we're seeing, on YouTube, for example, you can see anybody from any culture anywhere in the world and realize they're no different than you are. And this idea of how do we build the systems where, people can, we're not just coming to throw money at it, but we're literally coming to say, you know what, we recognize your value, and we want to help you. And to me, I'll be honest, one of the things that concerns me the most is I see governments trying to mandate this type of thing, right? Let's take your money and give it to somebody else. Redistribution of wealth has never worked in the past, but what has worked is people's heart for each other. So if anything, having the choice to give or not, that's fine. If you don't want to give, that's fine. But there's something really powerful when people actually help their neighbor It was super powerful. And so, that's the thing that I want to encourage folks is to see, well, what are the ways in which I can do this? Because you don't have to, be someone other than you are and still make a difference in this world. You just got to be aware of what the opportunities are.
Yeah. And you said, oh crap, I just read something. I just lost my train of thought. When you were talking about the technology, marrying the today's generation.
Yeah.
First of all, I think that Gen Z and the millennials, I think they get a raw deal.
I do. I do.
My generation, especially guys from my field, they're old hard dudes.
Yep.
That had to learn the hard way. They got yelled at and kicked and screamed at and all that kind of stuff. And so they thought that, that was the way. So this millennial generation just appears very soft to them, and they want this toughness coming out of them. And that's not who they are. They're a more intelligent group of individuals. They were raised on the internet, on information being at their fingertips. See, when I grew up, we didn't have information at our fingertips.
Right. Dewey Decimal System.
All we had available was work. And if you were smart enough to go to a library and go look things up and read them and do stuff, and there was a very small handful of people that did that. Those are all the people that built the shit that we're all dealing with now. But nobody wanted to do that crap, and so these kids grew up with, information at their fingertips, and knowing that life doesn't have to be as hard and as wretched as my generation was making it. But the tools weren't there yet for them to go and change the world and do those things and to move into the 21st century. We still lived in a 20th century world with the people like me and my ilk, that wanted this hard, life to continue on for the next generation and fucking rough it up, guys, and pull up your fucking pants and bootstraps and all that kind of crap. And these new generations are just like, no, we've got a better way of doing things. It's just not completely developed yet. Well, these things are starting to be developed. And Hex is one of those things.
Oh yeah.
And they're going to have, they're smarter they're smarter people. They have more tools at their disposal now. And I am looking forward to them moving us into the 21st century and changing things and developing things. And the other thing, what I had forgot, when we were talking, when you first spoke, was that, 90% of the things that us humans, feel and want and desire, we all agree on. There's only about 10% of the bullshit that we don't agree on. When you sit down with a brother or a sister, or another human being that is in need, you can relate with them and you can understand what they're going through, and you can sympathize with them, and you can help them, or you can be part of what it is they're doing, because we all mostly want the same things. And there's only 10% of the shit that we disagree on. And that's the stuff that we need to keep out of the narrative. It's really the 90% that we should all be focusing on and helping one another with.
Yeah. Well, you think about the things that drive innovation, and of course, gaming and porn, right? Those are the things that have driven a lot of innovation, and money, right? And you look at the financial world, what I'm so excited about is we have people's attention because they care about money, right? It is something that's white hot. You have to figure out a way to provide for yourself and others. And so we've got people's attention. But what's interesting to me about, it's like a great story. I read a book by Donald Miller called Blue Like Jazz, which is a great story. And I listened to Donald Miller one time. He said, he was talking about storytelling, and he said, who wants to watch a movie about a guy who wants a Volvo? It's like this boxy, safe car. He's like, no one wants to watch a movie about that. He says, what's interesting is, in most great stories, it's somebody, this hero, that's going after something that they want, right? And in our story, it's Richard Hart. Richard Hart is our hero, right? And I'm just going to kind of spin this tale for you, because I think it's really significant for each of us. And we see this guy who is struggling against all odds, right? You're a scammer. You did all this stuff wrong. And he knows in his heart that he did it right. He knows that he created this great contract. He knows that he's doing the right thing, but he's got all this fun. Now he's certainly very confident in what he has, and no one can see the future that he's created. And so he's battling against all of these foes, thinking that, you know what, one day somebody's going to recognize that I'm the king of crypto. But in every good story, as the hero continues to go after the thing that he wants, he ends up discovering he gets something greater in the end. And that's the thing I see happening for all of us, is that we're out there searching and fighting for this thing that we want. And what really will happen is that it gets redeemed in the end with something greater. And that's, to me, why, taking people who are focused on money, right, and saying, all right, we just got to, yeah, you have to figure this out, because your life does get better when you have resources and you're safe. However, where the real joy is, it comes with what you discover in that process. And so to me, that's the thing, is this whole maturing process, that you and I have had one foot in the analog world and one foot in the digital world. And we're the ones that have to translate these old world ideas, which is called wisdom, to a younger generation and apply those things. And to me, we have a responsibility. But to me, the joy that I've had in my life, I've gone through severe anxiety. I've dealt with all kinds of financial ruin. And, have a couple of daughters and you'll learn something about life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And
yeah.
you have kids and you're just like, all right, I gotta change my ways. And so I appreciate your story. I appreciate all this, because to me, this is a story that's playing out that I just absolutely love, because it's so classic in all stories. And to me, it's like Steve Jobs, right? Why do we love Apple? Or at least, why do I love Apple? Because I knew there was a guy who cared about it, right? He cared about what things looked like in the inside of his devices, right? The same thing with Richard Hart. I mean, no one cares about Samsung. Who the hell cares about Samsung? There's nobody there. When I look at Richard Hart as a founder, he cares about what he's doing. He cares about us. And people are like, oh, yeah, well, where's the ether? And where, he's going to pull the rug. No, he's going to pull the rug, because he doesn't get what he wants unless we get what we want. And that is, he's going to help us literally transform this world. And we're just taking his lead. It's incredible. And I don't even know if he knows it, but he is literally going to transform the world for good.
I honestly and truly believe that. I do. And that's why I had you on today, because I know that you are of like mind. And the more of us that are around, I know that this message is going to get across, because this is an amazing community. And
it's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I've never seen anything like it. And with the tools at our disposal, and the people that are coming, that are being absorbed into this community, there's nothing that can stop what you just said from happening. So I appreciate you coming on. I'm trying to keep these streams to an hour. So thanks for hanging out. Do you have one last message? Go ahead and talk about your show too, so that people can go watch it, and we could post it up here.
You bet. So we're at Crypto Heartbeat on YouTube. One of the big things we're working on right now is what's called the Pulse Promise. And I'm just challenging people before the Pulse chain launches to look at this potential major windfall that they're going to have, and look at a way in which they can designate or earmark essentially Pulse points ahead of time to say, you know what, I'm going to commit myself to doing good. So we've created a Telegram. We've got pulsepromise.com. It's not a blockchain project. It's just about getting people together, sharing their passions for helping others, and in that process, connecting with other people who have like minds. And to me, the key to this whole thing of change is about the community coming together. And I'm just overwhelmed with what's happened in the last 35 days. To be honest with you, it's a miracle, in my opinion.
Nice. Well, you keep it up. We're proud of you. Glad that you're with us.
I'm standing on your shoulders. You know that.
All right, my man. Hey, hang out in the room for a minute. I'm gonna go ahead and send it off, but stick around.
Hey, thanks a lot.
All right, right on. All right, guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out. A little bit of chatting with the captain, and bringing you some more Hex community member content. Go check him out on Crypto Heartbeat on YouTube. He's freaking got an awesome show. We will catch you guys all on the FN Hangout on Friday.